most of you know, the acting Attorney General has appointed a special counsel to look into the matter of the Trump campaign, the 2016 election, and Russia. But is a special counsel enough? Our next guest is Murshed. Zaheed Murshed is Vice President and Political Director for Credo Action, and Credo has taken a strong position on this subject. So first of all, Murshed, thanks for joining us.
Richard, thank you so much for having me here.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. And I think, well, I don't want to speak for you, but what is your position on, Credo's position on the special counsel, special prosecutor issue?
Sure. So the decision yesterday by the Deputy Attorney General to appoint a special prosecutor was a good step. It was a good first step in a movement towards the right direction. But our position is it's not even close to being enough. It is just a starting point. And we not only want a special prosecutor, we also want to make sure that there is a full, thorough investigation done by an independent commission appointed by Congress. So we are also pushing on that front, because the way we see it, a special prosecutor is a helpful mechanism to have in place, through which we can look into any potential criminal wrongdoings or criminal activity in the White House. But at the same time, we need a commission that's going to have a broader scope and to look into every aspect of the extremely disturbing and disconcerting connections between Trump and his associates and the Russian government, and what transpired during the elections in 2016. The biggest thing a commission can do is to shed sunlight and do it in a way that's transparent to ensure that our country, our democratic system, does not have to go through something like that ever again.
First of all, you make a great distinction there, and I think it's an important one, Murshed, between the fact that a special prosecutor, the role of a special prosecutor, which is to root out criminal behavior, and the role of a commission, which is to explore every aspect of what might have gone on, not just the criminal aspect, but the ones that the American people deserve to know about, whether or not they're technically criminal or not. And I think, here's what I don't understand. I do, but I don't. And I'll explain that in a minute. Here's what I don't understand. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, unless you're part of the Trump campaign itself, I don't understand why every American doesn't want the fullest possible disclosure of what happened in the 2016 election. And that includes people who believe that the Russians changed the outcome of the election, all the way to people who believe the Russians did nothing in 2016. Whatever your position, whatever your politics, I don't understand why every American doesn't want the truth out there once and for all, so that we know and we can handle it appropriately.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on its head. We want to make sure that we have full confidence in our democracy, right? We, as Americans, we're so proud of it. We hold ourselves as a beacon of freedom and independence and free thinking, and where all representative democracy for the rest of the world. We don't really have a leg to stand on if we can't ensure that if our democratic process is in a straight and narrow, right? And it is what happened in 2016. From all the reports that we have seen, it looks like a foreign adversary, according to all reports, engaged with our electoral to interfere with our electoral process, and did their very best to create chaos and confusion, spread misinformation that may or may not have had an impact of the final results of the election. But however, even if it doesn't really matter what the final outcome was, the most disturbing part of it is that it happened, and it threatens the sanctity of our democracy. It threatens the foundation based on which our government is based on.
Yeah, and if I'm a Republican, which is a big hypothetical in this case, but if I'm a Republican and I really don't think anything untoward happened in 2016, I would be all for this investigation because I want my party exonerated so that we can get on with the business of governing. To me, it's very telling that I think some Republican members of the House may have come forward and supported this idea, but as far as I can tell, the party is not, and I'm talking about independently of Donald Trump, is not showing a lot of enthusiasm for the idea of an independent commission. Am I right about that?
Yeah. I mean, these guys, it is not only they're not showing any enthusiasm, they're just being craven political opportunistic hypocrites. These are the same guys that couldn't who are using the word criminal in every other sentence over an email server issue just a few months ago, and here we are. Within a year, we are on the cusp of what looks like just unprecedented scandal that may dwarf Watergate. And these guys can bring themselves up to talk about the need for a full, thorough, and independent investigation. I mean, it is mind-boggling. And if anything, these guys in Congress, specifically guys like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, these guys have shown themselves to be a bunch of cheap lapdogs who will pretty much eat anything Trump serves them up for the sake of some tax cuts for their corporate barons.
Yeah, that sure sounds like the truth. And again, we're talking with Murshed Zaheed, who is the Vice President and Political Director of Credo Action. Let's talk for a second about what just happened with the appointment of a special counsel. A special counsel and a special prosecutor are not exactly the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's a bit different. I mean, special here in the case of special prosecutor, right, has the broad authority to call for grand jury. He has subpoena power, and he has wide latitude in terms of how she or he may conduct the investigation. So my understanding here is FBI Director, but not former FBI Director Mueller, has a fairly wide discretion in terms of what he could investigate, how long he could investigate for. So his scope is a little wider.
Well, that's good, but and one of the other questions I've heard different things about, I don't know if you know the answer or not, but is that there's some question a special prosecutor can publish his or her results, but maybe a special counsel is more limited in what they can publish publicly. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know the exact distinction, to be quite honest. I'll have to look that up. But what my understanding here is Mr. Mueller has the same latitude that former special prosecutor Ken Starr had, right, when he conducted his investigations into President Clinton. And he did, from my recollection, released a fairly wide report in terms after years of investigation that eventually led to impeachment proceedings on the House floor.
Okay, well, that is interesting and encouraging. Last set of questions before I let you go, if that's okay, Murshed Zaheed, and that is Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is still the Attorney General of the United States, even though he's recused himself, as I understand it, from the Russia issue. Is that recusal enough?
No. This is a man who committed perjury during his confirmation hearings. He needs to go. We are on the record saying that he needs to resign. He needs to go. I believe the last time I checked, over 350,000 Credo members, actually 339, over 339,000 Credo members have signed a petition saying that Jeff Sessions needs to go, and needs to go immediately. And we had made like thousands of phone calls to Congress and the U.S. Senate, asking them that they need to pressure Sessions to resign, because anything coming from this man is not credible. I mean, you cannot credibly claim yourself to be the top law enforcer of the country when you so brazenly lied during your confirmation hearings. So it is just he does not belong there.
I also feel that the American people are not going to have full confidence in what's going on as long as this guy's in charge. He may say he has recused himself, but to think that he might not be talking with Mr. Rosenstein or someone else about it, I mean, that's an assumption. One would hope he doesn't, but I would think in order to restore full confidence in the process, Jeff Sessions ought to go. So before I let you go, Murshed Zaheed, where can people go to find out more about the work you guys are doing in this area?
Sure. We are obviously engaging in a wide array of campaigns, keeping the pressure on for independent investigations. If people want to engage in our campaigns, they can go to credoaction.com. That's our website. And they can also follow us through social media. On Twitter, we're at Credo Mobile, CREDO MOBILE. And we're also on Facebook at Credo, where folks can see all the campaigns and latest political issues that we are amplifying and talking about from a very progressive lens, holding down the left flank.
Well, thank you for all that good work, and thank you for coming on the program. Murshed Zaheed, Vice President and Political Director of Credo Action. Good to talk with you.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it, Richard. Thank you. Take care.
You too.